Well, good morning, everyone. It is Ellen here from Advocate of Soul, and I guess I just wanted to come on here today. It was kind of a spontaneous moment to go live because it was not something I was planning on doing, and I just really felt to go live. And what I want to talk to you about is what advocacy means to me. And as one who has been an advocate and an activist, and I have fought for different causes and all sorts of things, the way that I do it now, the way that I see it now, the way that I believe the energetics on the planet are bringing people into this awareness of advocacy and activism is very different than what it has been in times past. And when I started doing advocacy, when I started jumping into causes and, standing on behalf of other people and things like that, it was very much self-driven. It was very much about me coming in to save the day for someone else and, help bring them where they're supposed to be. It was very much based around the fact that people were victims. And because they were being victimized or were victims, I then had to come in and I had to rescue and I had to help. And there's nothing wrong with that because I believe in some ways that there are, people who are being victimized by governments or institutions or, people are being bullied in different places around the globe and around the world. And they are, in some ways, victims to what is happening to them. But over the years, as I've, grown in my understanding of advocacy and grown in, just my desire to support people, how this is going to look from here on out is very, very different. Because I believe that our planet is awakening to the understanding and the idea that we are not victims and that every one of us on the inside can change their circumstances. We can create different realities for ourselves. And this is where I'm taking advocacy now. Because there is an incredible emphasis and it's almost like a battle that's kind of happening between the way we used to do life, the way we used to stand for people, and how the universe and the planet is wanting to go. There's like a battle between these two mindsets completely. And so I can see in the globe, we can see that there are issues with poverty and there's issues with, trafficking, and the LGBTQ plus is what I'm standing for with the Kakuma refugee camp, and, that there's terrible things that are happening there. And we can see all of that. There are wars that are happening. There are rumors of wars happening. There's all sorts of things on the planet where there's terrible things that are happening. But what I have learned and where I'm coming into this place is, as I am standing in the gap for people, as I am advocating for the LGBTQ plus, let's say, or I'm, helping build this house over here, with Philister and Francis in Kenya, the way that I'm advocating that now is that not seeing people as victims, but empowering them to rise above their circumstances. So if I am running a campaign, let's say, regarding, finances, it's to help people to come into the understanding that they can create wealth themselves. If I'm advocating on behalf of the LGBTQ plus, I don't want them to stay as victims. I don't want them to remain and see themselves as victims. Instead, I want to be able to encourage them to come into a different space and place so that they can say no to the situations within their lives. And I think the way advocacy and the way we have stood up for people in the past is we've kind of colluded with their situations. And I've done it. I've done it myself. And I've colluded with the victim and all of that stuff. stuff, and that absolutely is not a way you want to advocate for people. You don't want to keep people stuck in trauma. You don't want to keep people stuck in these mindsets and these old patterns and these old ways of doing things. And I believe what's happening on the planet is people are learning about the power of who they are. They're learning about the power of their identity. They're coming back to the fact that they are divine beings, that we operate in different dimensions, that we are creators of our reality, and that we can actually shift things. But it's not by keeping people in their victimization. It's not by me getting behind people in the Kakuma refugee camp, colluding with the pain and the struggle and keeping them there. No, my desire is to see people rise up and to be empowered to change their mindsets from seeing themselves as victims and bringing them into another space and place. Now, I know that that's all a process. I know that people have to want to change. People have to want to grow. People have to want to come out of victimhood. And in my own life, I had many opportunities to remain as a victim. I could have stayed, beaten down in the way that the church had treated me. I could have stayed in places where, my situation with my family is less than ideal. I could have remained in those situations. And there was something inside of me that as people began to stand with me, I began to realize that I don't have to live the life of pain and struggle that I had been living. Now, this message may sound easier than, I'm making it sound, because I know that for a fact that to make a choice to come out of victimhood, to stand up and say, I'm no longer going to be bound by this trauma. I'm not going to be, bound by this governmental system or this religious institution or the way my family's raised me is all a process. It's a process of becoming. But my whole point behind doing advocacy with Advocate of Soul, by doing humanitarian campaigns, is now to invite people into empowerment, not to be invited into remaining as a victim or me saving the day or people just keeping, bringing people out of something, but then they go right back into it because they've actually never really changed their state of being, their change of belief systems, that they can remain in a new state. And so that's where I'm seeing Humanitarian going. I know that this is a spontaneous live I'm doing, but this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not here to ignore the situations on the planet. I'm not here to go, well, I don't want to look at that. I'm not going to entertain that. No, what I want to do is look at the situations in the globe, the stuff that's happening, but come from it from a different mindset. Come from it and reframe it from an empowering place, a hope-filled place, knowing that as people begin to shift and realize they don't have to remain in the places of poverty and degradation and violence and separation and trafficking and being beaten down and oppressed, as they come into the place of encouragement that they don't have to remain there, then my hope and my desire is that as they change their mindsets, they will do an inner no that says, no more am I going to live like this. Advocacy, standing with each other on the globe, is really important. Because things are being dismantled. Things are coming down in this planetary system. The matrix, the way we've done things, is changing. So as you start to see me come forward with stuff about the Kakuma refugee camp, and I'm going to be doing another campaign here soon for Philister to complete the house so that we have everything all the way that it needs to be so we can build it. It's not about me empowering more victimization, codependency on me, or codependency on each other. Instead, it's about inviting all of these people into this situation to say no in their own lives, to be empowered, to have self-realization, and know that they can create a different reality for themselves. So I just wanted to get on here, share a little bit about that why I believe Humanitarian and Advocacy is looking different from only my own self, but also the way the planet is taking it. It's about empowering each other. All right, have a good day, everyone.